Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're doing the Shrine of Secrets review for the 27th of January 2020. This is the series where we go over the Shrine of Secrets in Dead by Daylight. There are 2 killer perks and 2 survivor perks. We go over what they do, how they work, how they change as the perk tiers up, what characters they come with, and at the end I will give my thoughts on which ones you should buy with iridescent shards. Basically, it's a way to get perks if you don't want to buy characters or level them up. You can just get it for some cheap shards and have it accessible for every character, if it's killer or survivor, depending on what perk you bought. So this is all just my opinion. I've been playing this game for a long time, so I just use the knowledge that I have to sway, I guess, which perks should be good. You know, I've got knowledge of both roles and everything, so it's just my opinion. It's not telling you to buy everything or not buy anything. You can do what you want with your shards. This is just to hopefully kind of guide you a little bit on which ones you should maybe avoid and which ones you should probably definitely buy. So this week isn't that great, so I'm just going to explain everything and then I'll give my opinions at the end. So first of all, we have Babysitter, which is a Steve perk, and this apparently is the first time it's in the Shrine, according to the tweet Dead by Daylight put out, but it's only 2,000 shards, and I don't know if I have seen it on the Shrine before. I don't know if they mean it's been a really long time or whatever, but either way, it's 2,000 shards, so I don't know if it's the first time it's been here or what, but this is a Steve perk, and this perk really isn't good. So when you unhook a survivor, the unhooked survivor leaves no scratch marks or blood trails for the next 4 seconds. A tier 2 that's 6 seconds, and tier 3 that's 8 seconds. You also see the killer's aura, and the killer sees your aura for 4 seconds. So this is a weaker version of Borrowed Time. Just use Borrowed Time. I don't know why you would consciously use this perk if you have Borrowed Time, or even if you don't have it. I don't think this is that great. Again, it's no. I was going to say something kind of good about it. I was going to say, I mean, no scratch marks or blood trails, but also killers can easily counter that. They can still hear breathing and everything, so, and the grunts of pain, so I feel like, again, just use Borrowed Time. Also, it's like Off the Record a bit. It really reminds me of Off the Record, which has, so when you get rescued, you don't leave pools of blood or grunts of pain, I think it is. I think that's right. But that lasts for 80 seconds, and this one lasts for 8, so pretty big difference there. So I would either say use Off the Record, which only applies to you though, so I guess it's not really a good analogy, but definitely use Borrowed Time. Don't use Babysitter. I mean, I guess you could combo it again with things like Borrowed Time and Will Make It, I guess. Well, not even Will Make It, because again, a lot of people heal under hook, so leave no scratch marks or blood trails. If you're healing under hook, then that doesn't matter, because they won't be running or going anywhere to leave pools of blood or scratch marks. You know what I mean? And as for the killer's aura part, a lot of perks have that, like Better Together and Breakdown, where they just randomly include a part about the aura because they just need something to fill out the perk a bit more. Personally, this one just feels like something to fill out the Stranger Things perk set, because they had to do 9 perks, and just to kind of reference Steve's role in the series. That's just my opinion. I don't know, a lot of the Stranger Things perks are very hit or miss. I don't like most of them, to be honest, and this one especially just kind of feels a bit lazy. And I've never seen anyone run this unless they're doing Adept, so yeah, don't get it. Next up we have Remember Me, which is a Freddy/Nightmare perk, and this one is also kind of interesting. It's also another perk I don't own, from the very few that I don't own, but I don't know, I kind of like this one, but a lot of people really don't like this one. So this is a killer perk. This is an obsession perk, and each time you hit your obsession with a basic attack, you increase the opening time of the exit gates by 4 seconds, up to a maximum of 8 additional seconds. A tier 2 that's 12 seconds, and tier 3 that's 16 seconds. The obsession is not affected by Remember Me, and the killer can only be obsessed with one survivor at a time. So this is like Save the Best for Last and perks like that, where you get stacks, also like Fire Up actually. So you get stacks, you get to 4 stacks every time you hit the obsession with a basic attack. So that means Demo Shreds and Pig's ambush hits don't count for this. It has to be an M1. You'll get up to a maximum of 4 stacks, and each stack will increase the opening time, the exit gates by 4 seconds. Again, a tier 3 especially is the most powerful because that's an extra 8. Wow, that's 16 additional seconds. By default, exit gates take 20 seconds to open, so that's 36 seconds to open an exit gate, which is crazy. Like, it doesn't seem that long, but I feel like that's pretty crazy. I don't play against this perk a whole lot, but when I do, it's definitely a threat. Sometimes sometimes it doesn't really matter. If the killer's on the other side of the map or whatever, then this perk, you don't really have to worry about the longer duration. It's just like, oh, I'll be here for a bit longer. But sometimes, you know, when you have like a ninja survivor running towards the exit gate and the killer's behind them, so you open the exit gate and then you can take a hit. Well, obviously, if you're doing this, then it's going to take a bit longer, so they might get down. So, especially if your team is getting destroyed, this is just like an added minor inconvenience. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake. On top of, you know, one teammate being hooked and 2 of them being downed, you know, the exit gate is now taking even longer. So, I feel like this perk's okay. It won't get value 100% of the time. Again, you have to be hitting your obsession. Obviously, sometimes you can go entire games without seeing a certain survivor. And if it's the obsession, and again, you gotta make sure you hit him at least 4 times. So don't use this with perks like Save the Best for Last, because obviously you can't hit the obsession for that perk to work. So keep that in mind. Also, like all the Freddy perks, this is like an end game perk. And I'd rather use perks that don't even get me to the end game, you know what I mean? So, just little things like that. I think this is a fun perk, and I think combined with, again, Blood Warden, if they do manage to get open, or like Noed, I guess, you know, just trying to like make that last stretch for the survivors even more of a pain in the ass. Also, it says the obsession is not affected by Remember Me, which I think is kind of crazy, and I think that should be removed. I don't really know why it's there, just to give the perk a bit more of a counter? I don't know. It feels a bit weird. I don't know why that is a thing. It's kind of like Dying Light, where you can't get any more stacks or whatever when the obsession dies. It's kind of like that. I don't really know why that part is a thing. I feel like, because then if it succumbs and you know, someone is opening exit gate and it tells you that they have Remember Me, then you can call the obsession over if they're free to just open the exit gates like normal. So that part's a bit weird, but for the most part, I think this perk's kind of cool, but maybe should get changed a little bit, and not always going to work for you, you know. Next up, we have Repressed Alliance, which is 2,700 shards, so that's interesting. So this is a Cheryl perk. This is one of the Silent Hill perks. This is one of the more recent ones, and I kind of like this perk. A lot of people are kind of iffy about this one. Personally, I actually like using this one. Not a whole lot, but like, you know, it's a little fun thing to try on every so often. This is a Cheryl perk, and once you have repaired a generator for 80 seconds, a tier 2 that's 70 seconds, and tier 3 that's 60 seconds, the perk will activate. When repairing a generator, while the perk is active, press the active ability button to call upon the entity to block the generator for 30 seconds. The perk deactivates, and affected generators by this that get blocked will be revealed by a white aura to all survivors. So this one, if you repair a generator for a minute, or again, depending on what version you have, but typically for a minute, then the perk will activate, and then at any time you can block the generator with the entity as if it was like Corrupt Intervention or Threatening Tremors. And have the perk blocked, have the gen blocked, sorry, for 30 seconds, which means it can't be kicked. If there's a Hex Ruin, then it doesn't regress. If it's regressing anyway, then it doesn't regress. This one, I actually used to use this one a lot back when I first got Cheryl, even now I still use it from time to time. I feel like this is okay, but I feel like it's also very situational. Your killer kind of has to have Pop Goes the Weasel or something like that. For this perk to like work as it's meant to, because if the killer has pop, then if your gen's like 90% done, what you can do is basically essentially 99 it, and you can block the gen, which means they come to the gen and they can't kick it because it's blocked. Pop Goes the Weasel does last, maximum tier, it does last 45 seconds, but again, depending on the timing, if he's got to come across the map, or what version of pop he has, you can avoid your gen that's about to get done from being like, you know, whittled down to 0.5% progression, if that makes sense. It's situational. Again, if Hex Ruin it stops the regression entirely. If they've kicked it normally without any perks and it's just regressing normally, then that doesn't regress. Hex Rune doesn't regress it. They can't use Pop to regress it. Dragon's Grip, anything like that. It's only 30 seconds, so I don't know, I feel like that bit should also get increased as you tier the perk up. At tier 2 maybe like 35 seconds and tier 3 is like 40 seconds, I don't know. But this one's very situational. You also have to repair a gen for a while to get it to work, which again isn't normally that bad, but gens take 80 seconds by default, and at tier 1 this does turn on when you have repaired a gen for 80 seconds, which means you have to repair an entire gen. And again, if you're gen rushing or if you're looping the killer, for example, if you're getting chased for the whole match, then obviously you can't use this perk. Or if your team is gen rushing, then there's not really a reason to block gens. It's just things like that. So this perk is kind of interesting. It's good at what it does, and it's a very unique perk, and it also has some kind of cool lore implications, but it's a bit too situational, and I see why people don't run it all the time. So I don't know, maybe give this one more of a chance. And finally we have Shadowbourn, which is a Wraith perk, and this one is very simple. I won't spend long on it, and like all of Wraith's perks, this is like a tracking perk for killers. So this increases your field of view by 9 degrees, and at tier 2 that's 12 degrees, and tier 3 is 15 degrees. So this is basically the closest thing we have to an FOV slider in the game, which they still don't fucking have. This is good for, I guess, honestly, I've seen a lot of people say this is like one of those drug perks where it is in like, it's addicting and like you can't live without it. I get that. I have that same thing with like Bonds, for example, with Survivor. This can be, well, again, it's like, it's just an FOV slider taking up a perk slot. This is good for like, if, you know, survivors do that thing when they hide around a corner as they enter a room, because you will be able to see it and you'll be like, yeah, fuck you. This is also good for killers who like are ranged, I would say. I use this on Nurse, I also use this on Deathslinger, and I would use on Huntress if I played Huntress at all, which I have never played. Yeah, this one is like a cool perk, and it's really nice, and the feeling is really nice. Especially on killers, like I used to use this on Legion, and it just makes you feel a bit taller. And again, maybe even like Hag and Blight, who have lower POVs as it is, maybe this would help, but I haven't tried it on that yet, so I can't comment on that. But it's very addicting. It's very simple in what it does, but it is just an FOV slider taking up 1/4 of your build, and I don't know, it's, again, it feels nice, but I don't know how useful it is all the time. So now we're going to go over what perks I think you should buy, and I'm not going to recommend any, I don't think. Babysitter is a worse version of Borrowed Time. Just use Borrowed Time. Remember Me, it's interesting. I think I might get that just because, you know, I have almost all the perks in the game, and I don't have Freddy as a character, and I don't really plan on getting him, so I think I'm just going to get that after this anyway. Good at what it does. It's a bit too situational to use it all the time. Same thing with Repressed Alliance. I would say if you're gonna buy a perk, I would say probably Repressed Alliance, just to give it a try if you want to. Not saying that's meta, it's definitely not meta, but like, I don't know, maybe if you're doing Survive Friends, maybe if you're the one in your team who has this, see how it goes, just try it out. But also, it is more expensive, so keep that in mind. That might be a turn away for some people, I don't know. And then for killer, I think I'm going to recommend any. Wraith is a free killer, but I think even leveling them up just to get this is a bit eh. And again, Remember Me. Again, if you're like me, if you want to just get it for the sake of having it, then sure, go ahead. But personally, I would say save your shards up for next week, or just buy a perk that you already own for some extra blood points. To be honest, so that's going to do it for me. This was a interesting shrine. I hope you appreciate me going a bit more in depth with this. The videos are getting a bit longer, which I kind of wanted. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next week.